Okay, welcome back to another video. This is my very easy puff pastry. So I have one roll of ready rolled puff pastry. You can make your own if you want to. It's something that I want to do. I just haven't quite got round to it yet. I got this puff pastry for £1.25 from Asda. I just took it out of the packaging and just gave it a little bit of an extra roll with the rolling pin. You don't want to give it too much because you still want that thickness when the cheese goes in, but I just give it an extra roll just to push it out and make it a little bit longer. Once I have done that, I'm going to add 80 grams of grated cheese on the top half of the puff pastry. You don't want to add anything all over the puff pastry unless you want it super cheesy. If not, I always find that putting it just on half of the puff pastry works perfectly. Also, when you're making the actual puff pastry slices, some cheese does fall out that you need to put back in. But if you want to add more than 80 grams of cheese, then go ahead. You can add 100 grams if you want to. I've known to do that before with my son as well. You're then going to fold the puff pastry in half and you're going to push it down. Now you can push it down with a fork if you want to, but as it's just my family, and as I'm not actually selling these, I just pushed it down with my hands really. I do this just to make sure the edges are sealed, but again, if you wanted to use a fork or spoon or anything else, then you feel free to do so. I just make sure that it's completely flattened. I'm then going to get a knife and I'm going to cut it into strips. Now my strips are never equal because I'm rubbish at doing that. But if you wanted to make them equal, then you go ahead and do what's best for you and your family. So I just cut them into long strips to start with. And then I will turn it round and I will cut the whole thing in half, which gives me around about 12 puff pastry slices. Obviously, if you wanted a smaller one or wanted to turn them into twists, then you can do. It's up to you. You're then going to grab one puff pastry slice, and then again, you're just going to squash down the edges. You can do this with a fork again if you wanted to, or just use your hands like I am and just make sure that it's all flattened, and then pop them on a lined baking tray, as you can see I've done here. I've already preheated my oven to 180 degrees, and I've already lined about 3 of these baking trays. You need to make sure that they're spread out enough because obviously being puff pastry, they do puff up. So you need to make sure that you are giving them plenty of space. I only had small trays. I was able to fit 4 on the tray. So I had to do 3 trays worth, but my son absolutely loved them. It's a little bit of juggling. I did have to juggle for a little bit to try and find the best way of putting these slices on, but I found my way in the end. And again, just keep squishing the edges because cheese will come out. My son absolutely loves it when the cheese comes out though, because he likes the melted cheese oozing over the edges. But if you don't like that, feel free not to. You can add some spices into this. I've done it with oregano before, but my son hated it. He just likes very basic plain cheese puff pastry. Once I have done that, I'm then going to egg wash each one of them, just to give them that brown colour on the top. My son absolutely loves it. So just egg wash each one, and then you're just going to put that in the oven for about 10 minutes. You do need to keep an eye on them because they can cook quite quickly, but usually around about 10 minutes is perfect. As I said, I've done 3 trays worth. This is my last tray that I did. I just egg washed each one again, and then I just popped them in the oven as well. But by the time I got to doing these last ones, it only took 5 minutes to make because the oven was already hot, and this is what they look like afterwards. I did burn the first batch because I got distracted with my son. So one of them or 2 of them are slightly browner than the others, but they are absolutely delicious. My son ate 3 in one go. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.